Well, welcome to the Top Gun Show. Today we have a very unique guest, Tyson McDowell, who's the managing partner at Great Scale Ventures in San Diego. He's an entrepreneur's entrepreneur who believes that the vision and drive of great people is the best investment thesis that exists. Tyson is a 20-year veteran of designing software that drives human behavior. Scary stuff, but I want to find out about that. Welcome to the show, Tyson.
Hey, thanks a lot, Steve. It's so great to be here.
I'm glad you're on, man. So, talk a little bit about your background in this driving human behavior. Talk about Great Scale and the type of companies that you're investing in.
Yeah, well, just in terms of driving human behavior, the way technology has developed over the last 20 years, its real power is in partnering with humans so that humans can do be more productive, be more capable, both in the enterprise and also on the consumer side. But and that's where I come from, making hospitals efficient at collecting money. But cell phones came out, Facebook came out, and the results have been bad. And we're seeing, there's no way that people are really the way they seem through the lens of what happens on social media. So at Great Scale, we build software companies from scratch, bring the capital, product design, and mentorship to build tech companies that are profitable by doing things that are good for people, not things that aren't good for people.
Well, there's definitely an ethical line there somewhere that
Sure.
isn't really clear in a lot of companies, and a lot of people like me have some serious questions about it. You said on your TED Talk that I watched recently that it's easier for us to consume information that's driven to us than to search for it by our own free will alone, and that we are very likely to accept whatever they send us verbatim. Talk
Yep.
about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the power of being totally connected is great. There's the sum total of human knowledge right at our fingertips, but we can only consume one bit at a time. And there are lots of algorithms that are designed to present one of hundreds of millions. So when you look at that's very powerful. It makes us hyper productive, easy to communicate. We can see trends, we can see the forest for the trees. But the problem is that the forest gets really perverted based upon the origins of the algorithm and what the algorithm is trying to optimize for, which is usually advertising revenue. And the moment you do that, I could pick 1, 2, or 3 things that are all real and correct, but this one may be the one that's really the best for me, but that one was better for the advertiser. That's the one I saw.
Yeah, that's interesting. So do we have our own thoughts, or do we have the thoughts brought to us by AI? I mean, or brought to us by fake news? I mean, what's real?
Yeah, well, there's definitely something that's real, and it's not whatever is online. In my view, I think we've crossed a line. People still have their own thoughts. I'm most concerned about kids growing up on Instagram and other platforms like that, where they get 100 or 200 data points a day from their social group and the sponsored content that's mixed in. And then they get 1 or 2 data points from their parents and teachers. And so it's less of, we have our own thoughts as adults, but think of kids growing up in this thing. Their thoughts are predestined based upon the demographic targeting of the algorithms that push the information to them. And you definitely can see this when kids go abroad and their internet connection pops in a different part of the world, and holy smoke, Google News doesn't look anything like it did at home. It confuses it, So I think we have our own thoughts, but we're risking losing that in future generations.
Yeah, so where's the line? Where's the safe line? How do we preserve our humanity when we're inundated by, the AI pushing us to believe or to buy or to, endorse something?
Sure. Well, I think it just comes down to if the AI thinks it knows what's best for us, we have to know what it thinks that it's thinking for us. These systems are really efficient for humans because they dupe us into just consumption. And you need that. You need stuff that enunciates, grabs your attention, easy to consume, move on. Otherwise, you can't consume as much information. So you're always antagonizing the lower part of the brain. That's what this technology does. It haptics and the short sound bites and all that kind of thing are all triggering our lower animal brain. So that means that the system has to also then make sure that we're triggering our human part, the critical thinking part. And that can look like a lot of things. There are many ways to produce that sort of effect on a person, which more looks like I've sent you the transaction system, I've sent you all kinds of things over the last week. And because of what you've consumed, I kind of think you look like this. And it'll make some statements about me that describe the part of the algorithm I'm fitting into. And I can say, I disagree. I disagree. You know what? Kind of erase that, please, for now, and let's just see what happens. That one act alone is a really powerful way to go do it. Preserving our humanity means to remember to think and recognize that the information part, the digital information is highly repetitive and correlated on purpose. It just seems louder to us because it's ever present. So the other way to preserve humanity is throw the phone away for a little bit and talk to people. What's real, what real people think. What's real, examples that you can find on your own. Fake news does not stand up to asking 3 people you trust about have they had this direct experience. Those are some examples.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And I think it all starts with the awareness that everything we're reading isn't necessarily the gospel. It's always good to take it with a grain of salt, right?
Oh, well, yeah, and it goes a little further, which we probably don't have time for, but one of the bigger issues is that social media in particular creates echo chambers. And, people say that, but it's true. So, I might disagree with a piece of fake news, but then I hear it from someone I trust, and then I hear it and I see it reshared by my trusted group on social media. That's the problem. There is absolutely no place for truth on social media, period. Nothing is true. I guarantee you no one's thinking. No one is actually evaluating their own belief systems and sharing. With all the things that are going on right now, I start hearing things from people that say, I have to share my point of view online. Like, I'm required to. People expect me to. What's my view? Which one is safe to share? And the answer changes. And there's a lot of risk involved in being vulnerable online.
Yeah.
And so people aren't. And when you're not vulnerable, the information that wins is the popular information as opposed to the accurate information of the person's intent. And all of us are feeding that machine.
Yeah, that's well put. I mean, it's time for another TED Talk. I think you could talk about this. Yeah, for sure. I vote for that. Well, hey, Tyson, I know that you're a big fan of the Top Gun show. And
Yeah.
there are millions and millions of people watching this right now.
Okay.
Why don't you share a little known fact about Tyson McDowell with my viewers?
All right. Well, what is actually not unknown is I fly ex-military airplanes on occasion. And given this is the Top Gun show, I have a call sign. It's not Maverick. It's not Goose. It's Zoolander. And that was given to me. I was flying in some movie and TV stuff. And I never turn left. I can only turn right. And that's because the plane I fly was rigged up with all the cameras shooting to the right. So when they design scenes and it's like, okay, Tyson's coming in, from here and he's turning right. And so eventually the director's like, you're like Zoolander, man. You could never turn left, I'm like, anyway, that's my story.
That's pretty funny. You heard it here on the Top Gun show. Thanks so much for being on the show today. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Steve. This is awesome. I love what you do.
Thank you. And thanks for watching, everyone.